Making headlines this hour, President Dr. Mohamed Muiz conveys greetings to the President of the Philippines on the occasion of the Independence Day of the Philippines. The non-resident ambassador of Palestine, along with new envoys from 5 other countries, present their credentials to President Dr. Mohamed Muiz. And the Maldives issues an urgent appeal for increased international investment in marine conservation.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to PSM News in English with me, Abdullah Ahil. And now the news in detail. President Dr. Mohamed Muiz conveys greetings to the President of the Philippines, Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos, on the occasion of the Independence Day of the Philippines. In his message, President Dr. Muiz extended warm felicitations and heartfelt wishes to the President, the government, and the people of the Philippines on behalf of the government and the people of the Maldives. President Dr. Muiz also conveyed his best wishes for the good health and happiness of President Marcos and for the continued progress and prosperity of the people of the Philippines. Independence Day is a national holiday in the Philippines, observed annually on the 12th of June since 1978, commemorating the declaration of Philippine independence from Spain. The non-resident ambassador of Palestine, along with new envoys from 5 other countries, present their credentials to President Dr. Mohamed Muiz.
Following the presentation, the non-resident ambassador of the State of Palestine to the Maldives, Ahab Ibrahim Mohammed Khalil, conveyed his heartfelt appreciation for the Maldives' steadfast support for the Palestinian cause. He noted that the Maldives' consistent stance and advocacy on the international stage have had a significant impact. President Dr. Muiz also reaffirmed the Maldives' unwavering commitment to supporting Palestine, emphasizing that this support would remain resolute. Diplomatic relations between the Maldives and the State of Palestine were formally established on the 4th of April 1982. The non-resident ambassador of Zimbabwe to the Maldives, Stella Nakoma, was warmly welcomed by the President following her presentation. The two engaged in discussions on matters of mutual interest, during which the ambassador highlighted the potential for strengthening bilateral relations. Diplomatic relations between the Maldives and the Republic of Zimbabwe were established on the 7th of January 1987. After presenting his credentials, the non-resident ambassador of Uzbekistan to the Maldives, Sardor Rustambev, and the President discussed potential areas of collaboration, including trade, economic development, and the expansion of educational cooperation. Diplomatic relations between the Maldives and Uzbekistan were established on the 7th of December 1994. President Dr. Muiz, after welcoming the non-resident ambassador of Denmark to the Maldives, Rasmus Abildgaard Christensenand, explored avenues to further strengthen cooperation between the Maldives and Denmark with a particular focus on economic development, climate change, and renewable energy. Diplomatic relations between the Maldives and Denmark were established on the 8th of November 1982. Following the presentation of credentials by the non-resident ambassador of the Hellenic Republic to the Maldives, Aliki Kotsomitopoulo, the President and the ambassador discussed ways to strengthen bilateral cooperation between the Maldives and Greece. Diplomatic relations between the Maldives and Greece were established on the 17th of September 1983. The non-resident High Commissioner of Uganda to the Maldives, Professor Joyce Kagwaramatsi Kikafunda, was welcomed by President Dr. Muiz, who conveyed his best wishes for a successful tenure. The President and the High Commissioner engaged in discussions aimed at strengthening bilateral ties between the Maldives and Uganda, with a focus on enhancing cooperation in areas such as economic development, climate resilience, education, and tourism. Diplomatic relations between the Maldives and Uganda were established on the 30th of November 1993.
The incumbent administration's unwavering commitment to the ongoing fiscal reforms efforts has seen Fitch Ratings, one of the world's largest credit rating agencies, maintain its CC rating for the Maldives. The rating reflects Fitch's assessment that the country's tourism sector continues to expand and gross foreign exchange or FX reserves have increased following support from the Reserve Bank of India or RBI.
The Maldives' gross foreign reserves increased to $856 million in April 2025 from a record low of $371 million in September 2024. The increase was driven by a $400 million drawdown under a currency swap arrangement signed by the Maldives Monetary Authority, or MMA, with the RBI in October 2024, which alleviated imminent external liquidity strains. Gross foreign reserves also rose due to solid tourism-related receipts and the newly implemented Foreign Currency Act, which mandates tourism-related businesses to exchange either 20% of monthly foreign currency receipts or a fixed amount up to $500 per tourist arrival into rupiah with local banks. The Ministry of Finance and Planning, in a statement following Fitch's rating, pointed out that tourist arrivals to the Maldives have increased by 9.4% so far this year compared to 2024, which had boosted Fitch's GDP growth forecast of 4.8% for 2025. The ministry said the government expects GDP growth to reach 6% in 2026 with the opening of the new terminal at Vilhena International Airport, or VIA. Fitch's assessment amid significant measures for fiscal reforms and financial sustainability as the country maintained its budget surplus so far this year, crossing $71.3 billion as of June 5th. It added that the budget surplus has continued due to improved revenue and strong budgetary controls to bring state expenditure down to a reasonable level. The ministry has noted that revenue, including foreign exchange earnings, has increased significantly due to new revenue measures such as airport taxes and fees, green tax, and import duty rates. The ongoing and planned fiscal reforms and austerity measures will boost productivity and investments, paving the way for lower debt-to-GDP ratio under the government's medium-term debt strategy. The government has indicated its commitment to increasing transparency and results-oriented policies while sustaining the economy, restoring investor confidence, and strengthening economic and fiscal resilience. At the same time, efforts are underway to devise medium-term debt strategies and introduce structural reforms aimed at improving the overall investment climate to boost productivity.
The Maldives issues an urgent appeal for increased international investment in marine conservation, warning that climate change and ocean degradation pose an existential threat to the island nation. Minister of Fisheries and Ocean Resources Ahmad Shiam stressed the need for decisive financial commitments during a high-level discussion on the sidelines of the 3rd United Nations Ocean Conference, or UNOC3, held in Nice, France from the 9th to the 13th of June.
With policymakers and environmental experts in attendance, Shiam outlined the growing urgency of protecting fragile marine ecosystems. He underscored the Maldives' proactive conservation strategies, highlighting ongoing efforts designed to enhance resilience and sustainability in the face of escalating environmental challenges. The country, he elaborated, has spearheaded initiatives in sustainable fisheries management and coral reef restoration, setting a global benchmark in marine conservation. He added that its programs have been developed to preserve biodiversity while ensuring long-term ecological balance, reinforcing the Maldives' leadership in ocean protection. Despite these achievements, Minister Shiam cautioned that the Maldives cannot address these challenges alone. Delivering remarks at the UNOC3 conference, the minister stressed the importance of international collaboration and urged nations to make meaningful steps to safeguard marine ecosystems. Small island developing states, he noted, continue to face significant financial barriers in securing necessary funding, with existing aid mechanisms often proving inaccessible or insufficient. Developed nations and financial institutions, he asserted, must facilitate more equitable access to funding that enables vulnerable countries to sustain conservation efforts. Without stronger financial commitments, global marine ecosystems remain at risk, warned Shiam, underscoring the urgent need for a collective approach to ocean preservation.
Minister of State for Fisheries and Ocean Resources Aminat Hussain Sharif says the Maldives is on course to fully digitizing its fisheries data collection systems in efforts to blend tradition with technology to future-proof one of the world's most sustainable fisheries.
Speaking during the ongoing 3rd United Nations Ocean Conference being held in Nice, France, Aminath shared how the Maldives is blending tradition with technology to future-proof one of the world's most sustainable fisheries. She said the Maldives is leading by example, from adopting selective fishing techniques and upgrading fleets with RSW systems to digitizing data and investing in electronic monitoring. Highlighting the significance of the fishing industry to the Maldives, the state minister said the fishing industry shares 11% of the country's entire labor force, while fisheries accounts for 90% of Maldives' total exports. She said efforts to fully digitize the fisheries data collection system would enable near real-time data reporting.
Modern fisheries governance demands the systematic integration of scientific data, digital reporting, and robust monitoring frameworks. In the Maldives, we are expanding our national fisheries information system to fully digitize fisheries data collection and enable near real-time data reporting. This digital transformation is essential not only for efficiency, but for ensuring that decisions are grounded in accurate, timely information.
In line with President Dr. Mohamed Muizz's vision, Aminat said the Maldives is committed to transitioning towards a new generation of fishing vessels equipped with refrigerated seawater or RSW systems, which has already led to an increase in fish quality and operational performance.
The government decides to take the campaign aimed at raising public awareness on important issues related to health nationwide. The decision was taken at a meeting held at the Islamic University of Maldives, or IUM, and the Ministry of Health to launch a campaign to raise public awareness on important health-related issues. The Ministry of Higher Education, Labor and Skills Development said the primary objective of organizing the campaign is to increase health awareness among the public. Discussions were also centered around sharing important public health information, such as blood donation, among the public through the campaign. In addition, the campaign will be conducted at the national level through IUM and other higher education institutions. The meeting was attended by the Minister of Health, Abdullah Nazim Ibrahim, Vice Chancellor of IUM, Dr. Ali Zahir, Dean of Students, Abdul Hafiz Khalid, and the President of the IUM Student Union, Hussein Arban Fawaz. The heads of the Maldives Police Service, or MPS, and the Maldives National Defense Force, or MNDF, convened at MNDF headquarters to discuss measures aimed at enhancing public safety and improving services to ensure the well-being of citizens. The meeting brought together newly appointed Commissioner of Police Ismail Naveen and Chief of Defense Force Major General Ibrahim Hilmi, marking their first formal engagement since Naveen's appointment. The discussion provided an opportunity for Commissioner Naveen to formally introduce himself to Major General Hilmi, while also addressing security strategies according to the MPS. Both officials examined ongoing initiatives aimed at maintaining peace and stability across the country, the MPS said, with particular emphasis on strengthening interagency coordination. Joint operations between the police and military emerged as a focal point, according to the police, with both leaders recognizing the need for a cohesive approach to law enforcement and defense. The conversation, the MPS said, also encompassed broader efforts to safeguard national interests and reinforce protective measures for the Maldivian people. The meeting reaffirmed a commitment to sustained collaboration between the two institutions, with officials highlighting the importance of strategic cooperation in ensuring long-term security and stability. The Maldives Marketing and Public Relations Corporation, or MMPRC's Managing Director Ibrahim Shiuri, reveals that the corporation is striving to make Maldives a globally renowned destination for recreational fishermen and sports fishing enthusiasts. Realizing the growing global interest for sports fishing, MMPRC is leading the efforts to establish Maldives as a leading destination for recreational fishermen and sports fishing enthusiasts. As part of these efforts, MMPRC recently held an international sports fishing championship, Burunu Boma, which, according to Shiuri, has ignited more interest among sports fishing enthusiasts throughout the globe. The Burunu Boma tournament was held from the 2nd to the 4th of May, with 9 teams competing across several segments. MMPRC is now planning to expand the tournament as an annual event, with tourism promotion as a key aim. According to Shiuri, such events usually attract high-end tourists. MMPRC appointed Fly Navarro as a sports fishing global brand ambassador to promote the tourism segment last April. The MMPRC will also try to promote the segment through external marketing activities. The Maldives Hajj Corporation's Managing Director Mohammed Shakil says the corporation has outlined its commitment to enhancing pilgrimage arrangements for Maldivian Hajj pilgrims in the coming years. In an exclusive interview with PSM News, Shakil detailed recent advancements, highlighting the introduction of high-speed rail travel between Makkah and Medina, a development attributed to the direct intervention of President Dr. Mohamed Muiz. The corporation has hailed this year's pilgrimage as the year with the most perfect Hajj arrangements in history. The initial plan has called for bus travel between Makkah and Medina. However, President Muiz intervened in the final stages, instructing the corporation to secure a more efficient alternative. The improvements extended beyond transportation. The introduction of the Makkah Route Initiative streamlined travel from the Maldives to Saudi Arabia, while designated tents for Maldivian pilgrims in Mina and Arafat provided spaces conducive to worship. Additionally, government-sponsored medical consultations and medications were made available, further easing the pilgrimage experience. Shakil reaffirmed the corporation's dedication to continuous improvement. He noted that this year's arrangements have established a benchmark for future pilgrimage efforts, setting a new standard for service quality. Under President Muiz's leadership, efforts to optimize pilgrimage logistics and services remain a priority, reflecting the administration's broader commitment to ensuring Maldivian pilgrims experience a seamless and comfortable journey. The Maldives Transport and Contracting Company, or MTCC, is making significant strides towards implementing the high-speed Raja Transport Link, or RTL, ferry service across all atolls by the end of the year. MTCC Chief Executive Officer Ahmed Saudi states that the initiative supports President Dr. Mohamed Muiz's vision to modernize and expand the country's maritime transport infrastructure, ensuring improved accessibility for residents.
According to Saudi, with accessibility at the core of the expansion effort, the initiative requires a robust infrastructure plan. In an exclusive interview with PSM News, Saudi outlined the logistical complexities of the project, citing the need for additional vessels and personnel to ensure seamless operations. The MTCC, in coordination with the Ministry of Transport and Civil Aviation, is overseeing the service rollout. A financial package from the Indian government amounting to $6.49 million has been designated for the RTL service, and Saudi elaborated that procurement of essential vessels is already in progress. According to him, a fleet of 56 vessels is required to fully implement the network. He acknowledged that current shortages present operational challenges, but expressed confidence that once the required vessels are introduced, the service will be deployed nationwide within the projected timeframe. As the procurement of vessels progresses, Saudi elaborated that MTCC is advancing with a structured rollout plan. He noted that vessel production for these regions is currently underway, supported by the Indian government's financial contribution. The RTL network is being developed in 6 regions, divided into 3 distinct phases. Currently, the system has successfully linked 81 islands across 9 atolls. Final preparations are ongoing for the launch of RTL services in Ra Atoll this month, with Ba Atoll scheduled to follow in the coming weeks.
In Peru's Pisco Desert, rows of blueberry bushes towering as much as 2 meters high stretch toward the horizon, finally giving way to sand dunes. Traditional blueberries need frosty nights to bring fruit, but genetic innovations have created varieties that can grow in Peru's desert, which is about 250 kilometers south of Lima.
Growers in Peru are looking for new markets as production rises, and their best customer, the United States, is waging a trade tariff war on partners around the world. China has insatiable demand and has built a huge new port near Lima that cuts shipping time across the Pacific in half. Valley Pampa typically ships 60% of its blueberries to the United States and the rest to Europe. This year, though, it is planning its first big China shipment to mitigate the impact of a 10% U.S. tariffs. Peru overtook Chile in 2021 as the world's largest exporter of blueberries, and the sector has been adding markets, according to half a dozen ministers, farming and export officials, and government presentations seen by Reuters. According to Peru's Foreign Trade and Tourism Ministry, U.S. tariffs could slow the deep purple fruit's booming rise that boosted Peru's exports by some $2.3 billion last year. Production during the 2025 to 2026 harvest is expected to grow by 25% to 400,000 tons. Peru's wider farm exports, also including grapes and avocados, rose 22% to $12.8 billion last year, mainly to the United States and Europe. Exports of blueberries dipped 30% year-on-year in the first quarter of this year, reflecting a change in harvest timing. However, even as quarterly U.S. shipments ticked down, those to China rose from a lower base. Peru's new Chinese-controlled port of Chancay, meanwhile, cuts the sea journey times to Asia in half to around 20 days, a big plus for keeping fruit fresh. China's Guangzhou port in April joined others by opening a direct route to Chancay. U.S. fruit firm Fruitist, which produces most of its blueberries in Peru and is one of the Andean country's top exporters of the fruit, sent some 15 to 18 containers of blueberries to China late last year via Chancay.
Top international stories. Local police tells Reuters that more than 100 bodies were brought to a hospital in India's Ahmedabad after an Air India plane crashed.
Relatives of the victims rushed to the local hospital to check on them. The plane was headed to Gatwick Airport, south of the British capital, Air India said, while police officers said it crashed in a residential area near the airport. Air India said the passengers included 217 adults, 11 children, and 2 infants, a source told Reuters. Of them, 169 were Indian nationals, 53 were Britons, 7 Portuguese, and 1 Canadian. Aviation tracking site FlightRadar24 said the plane was a Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner, one of the most modern passenger aircraft in service. The country's foreign office said in a statement posted on its website, Britain is working with Indian authorities to urgently establish the facts around the crash and to provide support to those involved. The Indian Aviation Minister's office said Prime Minister Narendra Modi had directed it to ensure all support was extended to the rescue efforts immediately.
Update on sports. Poland manager Michal Probierz resigns from his position 4 days after star striker Robert Lewandowski said he will no longer play for the national team under him.
The 36-year-old Barcelona striker said his trust had been betrayed and he was very hurt by the way Probierz told him he was being replaced as team captain. Lewandowski, Poland's record goal scorer, said on June 9th that he received a short call from Probierz as he was putting his children to sleep and that a statement about him losing his captaincy appeared soon after on the Polish Football Association's website. Probierz decided to replace Lewandowski as captain with midfielder Piotr Zielinski. Probierz said in a statement, quote, "I have come to the conclusion that in the current situation, the best decision for the good of the national team will be my resignation from the position of coach. Performing this function was the fulfillment of my professional dreams and the greatest honor in my life." End of quote.
Traditional boats that once navigated Mesopotamian rivers are returning to Basra's waterways through a local heritage initiative.
Volunteers and residents paddled while riding reconstructed vessels based on designs dating back to ancient Mesopotamia. The Maritime Revival Project, established in 2017, aims to resurrect Iraq's naval traditions by recreating models used in ancient Iraqi civilizations, including Sumerian and Babylonian, based on historical manuscripts and texts. Some of these boats and miniatures are displayed at the Basra's National Museum, while reconstructed vessels are available for use at the Basra Maritime Heritage Club. The initiative has produced 100 traditional boats across various Iraqi provinces with support from several institutions, including the Heritage Preservation Fund, the British Council, and the Alliance for the Protection of Heritage in Conflict Areas, and works in collaboration with the Basra Manuscripts and Heritage Center. Iraqi visual artist supervising the project, Rashad Nizar Salim, said, quote, maritime heritage or boats played a role comparable to agriculture in the emergence of civilizations in Mesopotamia through rivers, trade, communication, and more. With wars, they disappeared, end of quote. According to him, they have been working on documenting and examining the remnants of maritime heritage since 2017.
And that's all the news we have for today. We'll be back with any further updates. Until then, I'm Abdullah Ahil from PSM News.